Sometimes you're a fire, sometimes you're a ghost. Sometimes you can give me all the things that I love the most. Sometimes you're a queen, sometimes you're a curse, and sometimes a whole lot worse. Yeah, nobody's quite like you.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Blue Hell Worldwide here on Shaun Does FM, and today in episode number 31 we start our Brasileiro Serie A league campaign in our second season in this league, and we're taking on Palmeiras and Santos, two of the best teams in the division to start things off. So if you're looking forward to that, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and enjoy the content here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But we're picking up somewhat where we left off at the end of yesterday's episode, which was a transfer special, and we played some games against Eintracht Frankfurt to try and get a leg up in Champions League qualifying. So if you missed that episode, most importantly, probably the transfer business. Now I will leave a link to that above my head in the top right corner. But our players refunding the fans who travelled for the away leg. We were 2-0 up going into that away leg, but then we lost 7-0 over in Germany, and apparently our players have refunded all the fans about 12,000 euros worth of travel costs, which I suppose is nice. Would have been nice if they showed a bit more commitment on the pitch, that sort of thing. But yeah, I suppose that's a good way to start today's episode. The players taking some responsibility for that hammering that we took at the end of yesterday's episode. But since then, we have played a few more Champions League qualifiers against Sampdoria. First off, we hit the home leg and they absolutely got FM'd here, did Sampdoria. They were all over us, but then in the 37th minute, as they try and clear a ball, they don't do it very well. Felix Mecha puts that in for Anthony Reyes, and we go 1-0 up just shy of halftime, and we were holding on to that home lead quite nicely in the first leg, but then late on, they pinched the goal back here. Ekdal, a couple of shots that falls to Keita Balde, who's onside somehow. Unfortunately, Unsane had already committed to a shot, and we end up drawing that game 1-0. You look at the stats, Sampdoria really should have been winning that game, but that wasn't too bad a result to be taking into the away leg, considering those stats that you can see for that game. And in the second leg, it was a more even contest stats-wise, but Sampdoria did get off to the best start of either team. Just after the restart for the second half, it was Keita Balde, a ball over the top there for Simmer. Nice header into the top left corner, and they went 2-1 up on aggregate. But then at the hour mark, in the black and this, well, the dark blue, I should say, Busio, nice ball there for Mecha. Then Pulido, just a little bit lucky with how that ball fell to him, but he got us level 2-2 with a half hour to go. And then in the 5th minute of injury time, Gazelle with a corner. It is headed back out to him, but he puts the ball back into the mixer, and Fontas with a header at the near post, and we have made our way through to the second losers qualifying round of the Champions League after a 3-2 aggregate win over Sampdoria. You look at the stats, we were actually the better team in that second leg. So in the end, the real difference was that home leg where we somehow came away with a draw, and we just did enough to make our way through to the second qualifying round of this losers Champions League path, and what we've got to look forward to probably coming up in the next episode. It might be tomorrow, but it might also not be, because I'm going out for my girlfriend's birthday dinner when you guys will be watching this the night of, so I might not have time to edit a video that night. So it'll either be potentially tomorrow, but more than likely it'll probably come out on Friday, and if it does, I'll make up with another video over the weekend instead of what we usually do with this series on weekdays. But what we've got coming up in that second losers qualifying round is Marseille, a very tasty matchup for us. They're one of the best teams over in League One. They are currently in first. They've played a game. We'll look at the season preview, see where they're expected to finish up in 5th. So that's going to be tough for us, a tough test. But if we can get past those guys, we will earn ourselves a spot in the Champions League group stages for the first time in this save, which will be quite nice. Otherwise, we're back into the Europa League for a 3rd straight year. But that's what you got to look forward to in the next episode. But today, we are starting our league campaign for our second season here in Brasileiro Serie A with Palmeiras and Santos. As I said, two of the teams who were right up there last season. Palmeiras finishing above us in second. Santos were 4th for most of the season, just fell away late, but definitely a team who warrant a lot of respect. But coming into the start of today's episode, we've made another bit of a shuffle in terms of the order of preference for our right wingers. A player who I didn't realise was progressing as well as he was. I think this guy came through in our most recent youth intake. Oh no, it was actually the first one. So he's been around a little bit longer than I thought. But Craig Jones is a right winger who is just rising very nicely with 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential, is slightly overtaken the player who we thought would be the backup to Rashid Gazelle this year, and Emmanuel Thompson. So he's a player that we're probably going to get into the rotation once he becomes fit and ready to ahead of Thompson, just because by the time I discovered that he'd improved to the levels that he had since I last checked, he'd already played a game prior to this upcoming one against Palmeiras and is extremely tired. So I think Thompson's going to keep his backup right wing spot for this upcoming game. But for the Santos game, Jones could be on the bench, if not starting, depending on how well Gazelle recovers from this first up game. But we've certainly got really good depth in that right wing spot, just looking for the right person to fill that hole there, I suppose, who can deliver on the XG that we do create from that position. As I said, Thompson was the Youth Euro Cup top goal scorer last season. Jones is higher rated than him now, so got to respect that. And also we've got the players that we had here last season who didn't quite deliver potentially on what we were hoping they would down in the reserves, and they are once we find them. Johnny F. and Russell down there, experience here, was pretty good for us last season, top assister in the team, and also up there a bit further, Luke Bolton, who's the highest rated of those right wingers behind Gazelle, but when you compare his stats for the position, not as good as everyone else, so that's interesting. He's also valued at 11.5 million, so maybe we could get some money off him, but he does have more potential than Russell, but Russell's not really a player that I want to be selling because he's a bit of a club favourite here at Sporting Kansas City. So we're certainly very well stacked in terms of right wingers who we can get into the team. It's all about, as I said, figuring out which ones are going to suit us for this upcoming season. But we come into the first game of the season, nearly fully fit. Bjortuft, not quite right just yet. He's very close to recovering from that injury that he got in the preseason, but it's more or less going to be the same players we had available for yesterday's games against Eintracht Frankfurt, and hopefully we can get off to a decent start in an away trip to Palmeiras. And we have TV coverage for this first game of the season. There's Palmeiras with a 4-2-2-2, and it's a very bare midfield, you could say there. So that's an area we might be able to exploit them. In terms of us, we have Shaloi and Martins both starting just because Ayongo and Mecha are both just a little bit on a heavy workload. So we're just going to give these guys a bit of a rest, start them from the bench. So just two changes to what would normally be our 11 with the players available. And hopefully we can start the season off well here against Palmeiras. 12 minutes gone. First highlight of the game to Palmeiras. Both teams having had a shot so far, but neither on target. There's a good interception there from Gazelle, a bit of a kung fu kind of Finn Balor WWE type kick there, for lack of a better term. Pele kick, that's what I was thinking. But we do get the ball back there up to Daniel Shaloi down the left, and he makes his way forward quite nicely as we start to get in the opposition area of the pitch. Gazelle will just keep that in. What can he do? Tries to pick out Busio, but his header straight at Passanato. But a good little start from us there, looking somewhat threatening, and they'll now boot it down the other end of the pitch. A missed header there from Jaller, I believe that is. And now Thuram tries to take around Unsane. Great first time save there. But Marcus Thuram puts the rebound in the back of the net. And after what looked like a pretty promising highlight for us there, they get us on the counter-attack. A missed header, I think that was Schaller, just based on positioning. It should have been the defensive midfielder. It might have even been Vandenberg. But either way, Thuram had too much pace from our defence. As I said, Unsane with a good first-time save, but he puts the rebound in, and we are 1-0 down after 15 minutes. 19 minutes gone now. We have a throw in a good area of the pitch, and hopefully we can keep them pegged down this end of the pitch this time after they got us on the counter from that first highlight. Busio trying to play a ball in there for Shaloi, but just too much on it, and Passanato will claim it after the defender shields it quite nicely. Boots that deep, but straight to Olasunde. Thought he might kick that straight into a teammate for a second, and now Gazelle down this right-hand side, hoping he can provide some good goals for us this season, if not similar performance to what Russell did last time, although we do lose possession there. And somehow Wanmi gets that around Sepp Vandenberg and puts that in the back of the net. And our defence at the moment, very, very leaky, it has to be said. We have not started this off well at all, and we go 2-0 down after 20 minutes. And feels a bit harsh because I think we've been looking fairly threatening down the other end, but when they've got down our end, we've just been letting them through like turnstiles and not putting up much resistance in defence. 2-0 down after 20 minutes. 22 minutes gone here. It's now a corner for Palmeiras. The header straight at Unsane, and still it remains 2-0. We roll this out, and hopefully this time we can get something going on the counter-attack ourselves, but they do cut it out here. Do Palmeiras, and De Paula on the ball now. They try and play that over the top. Good interception for Shallowy, and hopefully this time we can get something going down the other end. Back over to Shallowy, the ball goes. Plays the ball inside there for Ryan Wintle, hoping for a little bit of a better season than what he did for us last time around. Gazelle gets the ball taken off him there though, and it does still remain 2-0 about halfway through the first half. 40 minutes gone, we are back in a good area of the pitch with a throw-in, although Martins gives that straight to our Palmeiras defender, and now they boot it deep to Turam again, and he's got pace on our defenders. Have already seen this season, nearly tries to sneak that past Insane at the near post, but it hits the side netting, and still it remains 2-0, and now it's another throw-in here for Palmeiras, and they look to get on the attack yet again, but the scoreline at the moment, I think, is a little bit harsh on us. We're looking fairly threatening, certainly not playing as well as we can be, but we're not being outclassed either, but Palmeiras are a lot more clinical with their chances than we have been with ours. Not that we've really got many threatening shots off, we've just been sort of snifled from them before we can get them off, and they have absolutely done us on the counter-attack. But Louis Martins for Jala. Hopefully we can get something going before halftime. Gazelle trying to curve that into the top right corner, but it's high, and it does remain 2-0 just shy of halftime. And that is halftime. Stat-wise, they deserve their lead. They are definitely looking the better team, but the highlights that we saw, I didn't think we were that bad compared to them. So, bit of a funny game this one. You have to give the boys a bit of a rev up at halftime, but I don't think we're playing that badly at all. Scoreline potentially flattering Palmeiras somewhat, but stats-wise, you could argue they deserve their 2-0 lead. We'll try and get the boys fired up for the second half and hope that we can turn this around because, as I said, don't actually think we're playing too badly in the season opener. Okay, 55 minutes gone here, nothing happening early in the second half. We're going to make some changes. There's a few players on pretty average ratings down the bottom here, and 2 of them are on yellow hearts. Both of our wingers, we need a goal if we're going to get back into this game. So Emmanuel Thompson can come on for Gazelle and also Metcha for Shallowy. 2-0 at the 55-minute mark. And now 69 minutes gone, we're going to make our last substitution. Olasunde, yellow heart, 6.2 rating, bit of a disappointment there. Hopefully he's not going to start the season off as slowly as he did the last one, because that was an issue we had last season as well. Both of our wingbacks not performing very well early on. Jonas Leishoj on for him. 71 minutes gone, our first proper gameplay highlight of the second half, and Busio on the ball after Polito played it back to him. Now Metcha, nice ball there for Polito. His shot blocked. Busio, Metcha has a little bit of space, curves that very nicely into the bottom right corner, and Felix Metcha, one of our best performers in terms of goals compared to XG last season, and he started things off very well this season as well. It was a bit of a fortunate rebound there for Felix Busio. It was a good ball to set him up, a little bit of a short pass, and then a really nice finish into that bottom right corner, and we are back in this game 2-1 with 19 minutes to go. 19 minutes gone, it's a throw-in here for Palmeiras. We're trying to find the goal that would give us a point out of this game. We've pushed both Busio and Wintle up a bit further to try and get a bit more attacking, and we might be able to do something here as Polito plays it back for Busio a little bit sketchily, but we do get possession back, although that ball to Thompson is cut out. It's a bit helter-skelter, but we eventually get the ball back briefly. Busio will keep it after that slide tackle from Danilo, though, and hopefully with a few more attacking midfielders, we might be able to get them on the counter-attack there, although that's a poor ball from Jala, and they might look to get us on the counter themselves, and we haven't got long left if we're going to try and get a point out of this game. That falls to Turam. What a finish from Marcus Thuram. He's been a thorn in our side all day, and he makes it 3-1, and that's going to wrap things up, unfortunately. Thought we might have given ourselves a chance late in that game with that goal to Metcha, but in the end we tried to throw some bodies forward, and that's cost us potentially as they get us on the counter. Ball to Thuram as he tries to get it for a slide tackle there. Does Rafael Vega, does well, and that's just too much power on it for Insane. To be fair, he's had a pretty good game today in his league debut, but we're going to lose this one 3-1 to Palmeiras, the team that finished second in the league last season, starting off strong. Just a little bit too quiet from us in the first half. As I said, I don't actually think that's too bad a performance. I thought we had some chances to get on the score sheet in the first half. Palmeiras, though, a lot more clinical with theirs than we were with ours, and I think that's the difference. They did edge things stat-wise as well, so I suppose it's a pretty fair result, but I don't think we're as bad as the scoreline suggests there. So we lose the first game of the season to Palmeiras, and we'll come back shortly and see what we can do in the second game of the season against Santos. And back for team sheets for the second game of today's episode, the second of the league season against Santos. The big change on the bench is that Bjortuft is available but only for 45 minutes of football, so we'll see if we can bring him into the mix for his debut, but otherwise there's a bit of rotation again due to heavy workload. So Metcha is back in the starting 11, as is Iyongo. But in terms of players being rested, Remy Walter comes in for Ryan Wintle and also Gianluca Busio on a heavy workload. So Jake Doyle-Hayes will start as well. So a little bit of mixing and matching, trying to keep players fresh at the start of the season, but more or less the core of our first 11 there. And Craig Jones, also on the bench, could potentially make his debut today as well. He's recovered from that under-18 game, I suppose he played before the first game of the season, and comes onto the bench for Emmanuel Thompson. Just looks a little bit of a better prospect, so he might get a Sporting Kansas City debut today, but hopefully we'll put out a better performance and get a better result than we did against Palmeiras. 9 minutes gone. The first highlight of the game is a throw into Santos in their black and white stripes. We are in our light blue hoops as I'm wearing today, and Cardona has the ball on the left-hand side here for Santos. Him and Lucas Braga playing it around with it quite nicely, and that is stupid from Iyongo. Our wingbacks, just for some reason, seem to start the season really badly. They did it last season when we brought these two guys into the squad. They didn't play very well in the first game, albeit Iyongo didn't start, but that's not great from Iyongo. It's a pretty clear-cut penalty, and they have a chance to go 1-0 up early away from home Santos. This will be a bit of a kick in the teeth considering how good we were at home last season. Indeed, he sends Unsane the wrong way, and we go 1-0 down after 11 minutes. As I said, absolutely no complaints about the penalty there, and he tucks it away very nicely. And we might be starting the season off in a bit of bother here, 1-0 down after 11 minutes. 24 minutes gone here, a goal kick to Santos as we try and get back into this game and try and avoid what we did last season, where more or less our first month cost us potential promotion and winning the league, because we got off to a terrible start last season, got our butt into gear for the rest of the season, but we got off to a terrible start then, and we're doing it again. A lovely assist there from Sharkmore. He gets left open far too much on that left-hand side. Olasunde not covering him. Our wing-backs, yeah, not too sure what they're up to at the start of the season, to be fair. It's mirroring what happened last season quite a bit. It's a nice ball, and he's just given too much space. A simple finish, and after 24 minutes, we're down 2-0 at home to Santos. 26 minutes gone here. Santos with a throw-in, albeit deep in their half. We've just changed our defensive width just to see if that helps, because we are looking quite leaky to start this season. So we've gone from narrow to standard to see if that's going to help at all. But we're pushing uphill if we're going to get a point from our first two games now, because 2-0 down at home. Mitchell with a ball over the top there for Olasunde though, and he's in a lot of space. Can he pick someone out? Finds Felix Metra at the far post. He is our one and only goal scorer in the league at the moment. Gets his second for the season, and we are back in this now at 2-1, halfway through the first half, more or less. A good ball out to Olasunde, and returns the favour at the far post here into the top left corner. And after going down pretty badly early, we are now back in this at 2-1 after 27 minutes. 33 minutes gone, a free kick to Santos, and Bruno Silva, who got a goal earlier, will take it. Jobson back out to Bruno Silva, just gets past his man there, fires it into the bottom left corner. Unsane got a good hand on that. Potentially should have kept it out, but I think it had too much power on it. To be fair, if it was Mealy, I'd be giving a bit of crap there, so maybe the goalkeeper needs to improve, but we have got off to a terrible start to the season yet again here in Serie A at Sporting Kansas City. Yeah, Unsane probably should have got a bit more on that to parry it wide, but it finds the back of the net, and we are in a deep hole yet again, 3-1 with 5 minutes to go in the first half. And now a corner to Santos, and they just flick that wide through Jobson. Yeah, we're not starting the season off well here, 3-1 late in the first half. And that is half-time. Another really poor half from us, that one. I think that was actually worse than the first half we had in the Palmeiras game, and the scoreline, I suppose, reflects that they're not as dominant stat-wise. We've had some decent chances ourselves, but again, Santos very clinical with theirs, and we're just looking a little bit not at the races at the moment. It's fair to say we're going to make a few changes. A couple of players on 6.3 ratings. Iyongo and Martins will come on for him, and also Gazelle hasn't started the season off very well rating-wise. He's looked somewhat threatening in the highlights that we've seen, but we'll give Craig Jones a debut and see what he can do on that right wing. But going to need a fair bit of luck to try and get a point out of this game. Could be in for a rough start to the season as we start the second half. 3-1 down to Santos, and there's the reminder of what Craig Jones has in his locker at a young age, that good 5-star potential. Hopefully we can unearth a future star in this game, if nothing else, because yeah, not going well as we start the second half, 3-1 down. 50 minutes gone, Santos with a free kick, and they do get into our half fairly quickly after they take that. Now the ball goes out to Bruno Silva. Olasunde tries to get that. It falls back to Bruno Silva, and in the end, He gets an assist to go with his couple of goals, and Irving Cardona gets a goal, and they are absolutely pumping us now here. Santos 4-1. We are just not up for this for whatever reason. This is going to be a pretty heavy home defeat as well. They're just walking for our centre backs too. It's a really disappointing defensive display, this one. And we go 4-1 down very early in the second half. Okay, 57 minutes gone here, and Sasha Jala has picked up a knock and is down to a red heart. So even though he's our best player on the pitch, we're going to have to take him off here for Ili Sanchez. That's our last substitution. Would rather be taking off some other players, but to be fair, a lot of them are performing poorly. So I think it's just going to be one of those days for us, as we are 4-1 down with just over a half hour to go. And shortly after that Sanchez substitution, it is a goal kick to us, and Vandenberg will try and get us going forward here. Picks out Craig Jones. Let's see what he can do on debut. Really nice ball there for Felix Mecha, but he tries to beat the goalkeeper at the near post, makes a good save. 69 minutes gone, we've got another goal kick, which to be fair, we did something from before, as Vandenberg again plays this out to Jones, looking very similar, this highlight to the last one. Ball over the top, it's missed there by one of the Santos defenders, but the goalkeeper will tidy things up, and they boot it long, but Fontas gets onto it for us, although that's straight at Kadua. Now they look to get back on us on the counter, and Cardona will get the ball over the top there for Bruno Silva, just over the bar, and they nearly get a fifth, but it still remains 4-1. And we are into injury time. We have tried a lot of different things throughout the second half, but we just weren't at the races today, and we haven't been for both of today's games, truth be told. Despite the stats looking a bit more even than they were in the first game of today's episode, I think that was actually a more disappointing performance. We weren't overly threatening when we had the ball, and Santos very clinical with their chances. Real disappointing start to the season from us there. Two pretty comprehensive defeats, and we're going to need to try and pick ourselves up fairly quickly. We'll come back shortly, show you guys what the table looks like. It's not going to be good for us after 2 losses to start our season. So a really poor start to the season from us there too. Pretty heavy defeats to Santos and Palmeiras. Both teams having not won their games either side of that, so that's not actually that promising either, which is a little bit concerning. But we find ourselves deep in the relegation zone. I say deep mainly because of goal difference, but if we are able to pick up a win in our next game, or even a couple of games, we would get back into a decent position. But definitely not the start to the season we were after, even though it was against 2 of the better teams in this division. If we go up a bit further, it's actually one of the teams who got promoted who find themselves top of the table at the moment in LAFC, and that's a team who we did beat to the MLS title in our first season of this Blue Hell Worldwide save. So if they're up the top, hopefully we can overtake them at some point, but no doubt the likes of Palmeiras are going to find themselves up there sooner rather than later as well. But it's a really poor start to the season. It might be similar to last season, where we can't win the title this early in the season, but we can certainly lose it, and we might be doing that again if we keep this form going for too much longer. But that will do for today's episode. A pretty bad one, it has to be said. That was pretty ugly on field. Even though we didn't play terribly in either of those games, I just think we're not playing as good as we're capable of, as we showed throughout the second half of last season. That's really shown, because yeah, but night and day those results compared to what we were getting last season. So hopefully we can turn this around quickly. In terms of the next time I see you, as I said, this might come out on Friday instead of Thursday, the next episode, and if it does, I'll do an extra episode coming out over the weekend to make up for it. But we'll come back, show you guys highlights of the Estudiantes and Corinthians games in the league, and we'll see if we can qualify for the Champions League group stage. It's highly unlikely, but considering we're playing a team the stature of Marseille, we may as well show you guys that one over 2 leagues, and hopefully we can make the Champions League for the first time in this World Super League save, even if we will get a bit of a spanking if we make it there, I suspect. But if you did enjoy today's episode where we got absolutely battered by Palmeiras and Santos, and do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and enjoy the content here on the channel, make sure also hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until the next time I see you for that Marseille Champions League qualifier, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.